Hi everyone, this is Robert Farrar speaking of Robert Farrar's Tea and Tarot, and today I'm going to give you a very short video which explains why you should not trim your tarot cards. You can trim other things in your life, but not your tarot cards. And when I first heard of this practice of trimming, I was rather outraged. I thought, have people no respect? Some tarot cards are too big, aren't they? They're unwieldy, ladies and gentlemen, and so there's a strong temptation to just chop them. For example, here's an innocent tarot card, and if you consider that unwieldy, you could trim off the white bits, and then you would end up with a rather fashionable, rather 21st century borderless tarot card. And there is a fashion for borderless tarot cards, isn't there? But I think if you want borderless tarot cards, it's better to buy borderless tarot cards. Why? Well, here's why. Here are some tarot cards that I trimmed. It was an eccentric deck. It was like, I guess, like a pirate deck, really. It's called the CS Tarot, and it's got like strange crackle glaze effects all over it. And it was in the early days when I was easily fooled and I was buying all sorts of nonsense online. This is not a tarot deck that I need at all. It's a silly one. Someone's just been mucking about with the RWS. But this deck, when it arrived, it had horrible borders, like caramel brown borders. And so, the deck itself is a bit silly, but the borders were extremely silly, and they made it even less usable than it might otherwise have been. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go for it. And there were people online saying, yes, get a pair of scissors and trim your tarot deck. It'll only take you 4 hours, and then there'll be a manageable size. So I did it, and this is what I got. Now, the thing is, no matter how careful you are, even if you go to the photocopy shop and use the guillotine, as it's called, you will never get uniformity, will you? Look, I'm gonna tap these on the table and pick them up and show you how uniform I managed to make it. That's how good I managed to make it. That's the top. You can see, they're not uniform at all, are they? And the thing is, if they're not uniform, then what's going to happen when you cut? You're going to cut the deck. So I cut it here, and the card that is smaller will fall, and the card that is bigger will attach itself to your finger. So the Knight of Pentacles, which is obviously one of the bigger cards, will never fall, and so will never be at the top of the deck. So will never be at the beginning of your reading. It'll be someone else. And that means that your readings are not random. Let me just show you the difference between this homemade, self-trimmed deck and one made by, our old friends, US game system. And these are made in a factory, aren't they? That's what cards should look like. That's what cards should look like. They're really very, very, very slickly cut, aren't they? They've been cut by a machine. So let's just compare those two. There's quite a big difference, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite apparent that the cards on the right are much more uniform than the cards on the left. So basically what I want to say is, don't do it. Resist the temptation. And if there's a deck you really like which is simply too big, well, write to the designer and say, please, Mr. or Mrs. Designer, bring out a version of this deck that's a little smaller, because it's too bloody big to handle. You have been listening to Robert Farrar of Robert Farrar's Tea and Tarot. Enjoy your tarot cards responsibly. Bye.